in outsourcing? I want some insourcing.
To respond now, senior advisor to the Romney campaign, Ed Gillespie. Ed, good to have you back.
Thanks for having me here.
So this period of time that matters, 1999 to 2001, and the question of Mitt Romney's tenure at Bain is really what's been at issue, an issue that's been made by the Obama campaign. The Huffington Post described the issue this way. The headline, Romney's signature appears on Bain SEC filings during time he said he left Bain. Between 1999 and 2001, Mitt Romney, then CEO of Bain Capital, signed at least 6 documents that the private equity firm filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Can you understand the confusion here about when he was at Bain and when he wasn't?
Yeah, and the fact is he took a leave of absence from Bain to go and run the Olympics in Salt Lake City. If you remember, at the time, the International Olympic Committee was going to pull the Olympics from the United States, which would have been a huge embarrassment for our country. There was corruption. It was poorly run. It was in chaos. And they needed someone of Mitt Romney's stature and leadership ability to come in and save it. So he took a leave of absence from Bain and left a life that he loved to help a country that he loves more to save the Olympics. And he was not responsible for day-to-day decisions, did not participate in day-to-day decisions or the management of the company at that time. He was on leave. So as former SEC Chairman Harvey Pitt was quoted in the story about this, it is standard, though, to, while you're on leave, to sign those documents for the SEC. He was still CEO and had shares, but he wasn't responsible for management, and that's the bottom line.
Well, he was still financially linked to Bain, and of course, a lot of his fortune is due to his time at Bain. Even when he was on leave, does he stand by business decisions that were made by the firm he created?
He actually retired retroactively at that point, David, because he ended up not going back to the firm after his time in Salt Lake City. So he was actually retired from Bain. But look, Bain's a good company. It's been very successful. It's helped create a lot of jobs. And the fact is, private sector experience is a beneficial thing, would be beneficial in the White House and the Obama campaign and the president.
He stands behind decisions that companies made about call centers or about outsourcing, which in a lot of circles is considered good business.
Well, in terms of stands by them, I don't know what you mean. They weren't his decisions. He wasn't there at the time that those decisions were made. Bain is a good company, and in fact, as you know, a lot of Democrats, Obama, folks take a lot of money from Bain because they think it's a good company. It's only when they're distorting Mitt Romney's record, for example, saying, as has been proven inaccurate by the Washington Post and independent fact checkers, this notion that while he was at Bain Capital, Governor Romney, shut down American jobs and moved them overseas. It's patently false. It's a lie. And it's sad to see the Obama campaign reduced to these kinds of reckless, baseless charges.
Does Mitt Romney believe that outsourcing is a legitimate decision for companies to make them stronger companies, more efficient companies?
David, what Mitt Romney believes is that we need a plan to make America more prosperous and for people to invest in the United States.
I understand that, but this is a particular business practice.
No, but it's linked to particular federal policies, and what we see now is the highest corporate tax rate in the world in the United States of America. That has taken place under President Obama's leadership. Excessive regulations, the threat of punitive taxes that are making all that,
but I'm asking a different kind of question. I mean, outsourcing is a tough political topic, but if you are a businessman, there's a real need for outsourcing jobs. What the president was talking about there is taking a politically charged issue.
Because of our policies.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Mitt Romney is somebody who is in the private sector who understands it. So would he not stand by the practice of outsourcing?
What he believes is that American companies and private shareholders and CEOs should be free in our economy to make decisions. What we need to do as a policy is to make policies that make those decisions easier to say, I'm going to invest here in the United States. I'm not going to move my jobs overseas. The Obama policies are forcing jobs overseas, and not only, by the way, in terms of making private investors look for investment overseas as opposed to the United States, but in taking American tax dollars in the stimulus package and putting it into companies and jobs, creating jobs in China and Finland and Mexico and Denmark. The president is the outsourcer in chief with our taxpayers' dollars.
All right, so just one more try at this. Does he believe that outsourcing is a legitimate business practice?
What he believes
in the creation of a healthy economy.
We can do it a fourth time if you like. What he believes is that American companies should be free. We have a free economy to make decisions that are in the interest of their shareholders. And what we need to do is make those decisions more attractive to invest here in the United States rather than make them more attractive to go overseas, which is what the Obama policies do.
But clearly he's sensitive about the outsourcing issue because it's a politically charged issue. In that same vein, does he have a problem, as somebody who ran the Olympics before, with Olympic uniforms not being made in America, being manufactured in China? Congress is taking this up now. It seems to be a bipartisan sense of outrage. Where is Mitt Romney on this?
He believes that we shouldn't politicize the Olympics. Believes that we should stand by our athletes and make sure that they have the best experience possible. I know that the Olympics get politicized, but as
is it okay for uniforms to be made in China? Is this just
what I understand is that it was an American company that subcontracted. I understand.
Right, Ralph Lauren did that. But does he have a problem with that?
I don't know what his response to that was. I didn't see if he was asked about it or not. I missed
right, but he says no comment. But as somebody who ran the Olympics, does he not have a comment on whether uniforms should be
I think
made
what
here?
he said was that we shouldn't politicize the Olympics, and that this was an American company that contracted out. And the fact is, again, we need to make investment here in the United States more attractive and make manufacturing in the United States more attractive. The underlying policies that make it more attractive to subcontract out to China are what is at the root of the problem here. And the root of that problem is President Obama's not being tough enough on China and their currency manipulation, which Governor Romney has said he will on day one begin to address in a serious manner.
Let me talk about tax returns and the issue of releasing tax returns. We compiled a list of former presidents, and the average of the tax returns they've released over years. You can go from President Obama, McCain, Kerry, Bush, a lot more than the 2 years that Mitt Romney is proposing to release. Why not be more of an open book and release more tax returns, as his father did, as previous presidential candidates have done?
Well, as you know, the standard of releasing fully 2 years of returns, which goes above what the law requires, was a standard that Senator John McCain had adhered to as the Republican nominee in the last presidential campaign. It's the standard Senator Kerry adhered to as the Democratic nominee in the election before that. And the fact is that Governor Romney has put out already 2010 and will put out 2011 before this election. So, very transparent. It's ironic coming from a White House that has proven itself to be not transparent in its policies, and be worth asking them, for example, why they're hiding behind claims of executive privilege and that kind of thing.
Well, right. That's a separate issue. I won't get into that today. Back in 1994, his own standard when he was running against Ted Kennedy was the following. Here was the headline from the Boston Globe. Romney chides Kennedy on taxes. Mitt Romney yesterday challenged Kennedy to disclose his state and federal taxes to prove he has nothing to hide. Romney said he would disclose his own state and federal taxes for the last 3 years on the very day that Kennedy turns over his taxes for public scrutiny. So this is hardly new to Mr. Romney to make taxes an issue. He did it against Kennedy. And even when he was running for the Senate, he was willing to release 3 years. But now he's running for presidency. He says 2 and nothing more.
Well, again, it's standard for the last Republican nominee, the last Democratic nominee. And the real issue here, David, is what are we going to do to make it where more Americans are filing their income taxes because they have a job? Mm-hmm. Under this president, their household income has gone down $4,300 since he took office. We have a record 41st month of unemployment rates above 8% under this president as a result of his policies. More than 500,000 fewer Americans are working today, and millions have left the workforce. In fact, 23 million Americans are either unemployed or underemployed or have left the workforce entirely. That's what the voters are focused on. And I understand the desire of the Obama campaign to try to shift attention away from his dismal record in office because they can't run on the record. And as he said in his own speech in accepting the Democratic nomination in Denver, when you can't run on your record, you try to make campaigns about little things, and they hold up these shiny objects. And frankly, we spend a lot of time on shows like these talking about that instead of the fact that, for example, if you're a middle-class worker in today's economy, you're facing layoffs. If you're a campaign donor to Barack Obama, you're getting payoffs. And that's the nature of this economy where he is trying to, he makes it harder for middle-class workers to get and keep jobs, and makes it easier for his campaign donors to get government subsidies.
I'm going to leave it there. Ed Gillespie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Coming up, we're going to get some response from a key Obama ally in the Senate, Senator Dick Durbin. He will respond to Mr. Gillespie here, plus the future of the Bush-era tax cuts. That's a